Dakota Johnson stood on the precipice of the stage, the sharp click of her heels against the polished wood echoing like a heartbeat. The spotlight found her, a blinding and hot white glare that isolated her from the world. In her trembling hand, she clutched a single, crumpled envelope, its edges worn from years of holding onto a secret. The vast audience fell into a heavy, expectant silence as she smoothed the paper with her thumb, feeling the texture of the past. She stepped toward the microphone, the air thick with anticipation, and cleared her throat, preparing to face the ghosts that had followed her to this very spot. Behind her, the massive screen flickered into life, casting a ghostly glow over the auditorium. It revealed a grainy, monochromatic photograph from a decade ago. There she was, a younger version of herself, standing on this exact stage, but her hands were empty and her eyes were filled with an unfulfilled longing. The contrast was haunting. Dakota turned her gaze to the front row, her eyes locking onto a man in a sharp gray suit who sat like a statue. With a slow, deliberate motion, he reached into his pocket and produced a matching envelope, the twin to her own. The connection was undeniable, a silent pact finally coming to its fruition. Dakota took a deep breath, her grip tightening on the cold metal of the microphone stand until her knuckles turned white. She tore open the envelope. The sound of ripping paper amplified in the quiet hall. Inside lay a small, heavy brass key. As she held it up, the man in the gray suit stood. His chair scraped loudly against the floor, a jarring noise that shattered the stillness. He said nothing, but held up a massive iron padlock. Dakota began her descent, each step down the stage stairs echoing with the weight of destiny. Her eyes never wavered from the lock. When she finally reached him, the world seemed to stop. Without a single tremor in her fingers, she inserted the brass key into the heart of the iron. A heavy, metallic click resonated through the room as the mechanism gave way. The lock fell open. The man let out a breath he seemed to have held for years as the heavy, rusted chains binding his wrists slid to the floor with a deafening crash. The weight of a decade was lifted in a single second of mechanical grace. The man stepped back, leaving the heap of iron on the floor like a shed skin. Dakota didn't offer a smile or a word of comfort. She simply walked past him, her eyes fixed forward on the exit. She never looked back at the chains, the man, or the stage that had defined her for so long. Every step away from him was a step toward a freedom she had earned in the shadows. The heavy double doors of the hall loomed ahead, the final barrier between her and the world outside. With a firm push, she threw them open, and the blinding daylight rushed in to swallow her silhouette. A black car waited at the curb, its engine a low hum in the afternoon heat. Dakota climbed into the passenger seat and closed the door with a solid thud. As the car pulled away, the silent building vanished in the rearview mirror, leaving the past exactly where it belonged.